Hi everybody, it's Honest John again. Now yesterday President Obama went to New Orleans to commemorate the 10-year anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. And though he kept his speech upbeat and positive and focused on the future, it's impossible to think about that event and not think about the callous indifference of the Bush administration and the complete and utter incompetence of Michael Brown, who Bush named as director of FEMA. That was the point at which most of the country realized that George W. Bush just didn't have what it takes to be president. And Brownie was just the tip of the iceberg. That administration was riddled with incompetence, corruption, dishonesty. I could go on. Dick Cheney, I guess you couldn't really call him incompetent, but he was a liar and a traitor, and he was really good at that. But a quick look at many of the key figures in the Bush administration is simply mind-boggling. There was John Ashcroft, his head of the Justice Department, who once shut off this discussion at a meeting with the words, "I don't want to hear another word about terrorism." This while reports were coming in that Osama bin Laden was determined to strike here in the U.S. and that young Arab men were taking flying lessons but not bothering to learn how to take off or land the plane. The truth is that if anybody else had been President of the United States, 9/11 would never have happened. And Ashcroft was succeeded by Alberto Gonzales, who tried to turn the Justice Department into a criminal enterprise and fired U.S. attorneys who refused to bring fraudulent criminal charges against Democrats. There was Porter Goss, who Bush put in charge of the CIA. He wanted to pack it with loyal Bushies instead of people who knew anything about the job of intelligence gathering. There was Donald Rumsfeld, the worst Secretary of Defense in history, who, along with his deputy, Paul Wolfowitz, mismanaged both the Afghanistan and Iraq wars. Wars that they predicted that we'd be greeted with flowers as liberators. John Bolton was made the ambassador to the United Nations, a diplomat who didn't believe in diplomacy. There was Paul Bremer, who dismantled the Iraqi army, giving birth to ISIS. There was David Addington and Louis Libby and many others who were major proponents with Dick Cheney of the torture program. And then there was poor old Colin Powell, who would have, if he'd have stayed away from the Bush administration, been remembered as a magnificent general during the first Iraq War. His legacy was completely tarnished by his association with the Bushies, especially since he made a complete fool of himself in his speech at the UN justifying the Iraq War. And of course, what about the people who were supposed to be regulating Wall Street? John Snow and Paul O'Neill. Well, they didn't have a clue. And all of the Bush administration's economic advisors were totally hostile to regulating the banks or Wall Street or any other business. Yes, that was the Bush administration. And at the top of it was George Bush, a profoundly stupid man who believed himself to be the smartest guy in the room and surrounded himself with dishonest and manipulative people who had no interest in doing the job that they were supposed to do or any aptitude for it. Thanks for listening.